A Chinese company just built a battery made from salt. Not a concept, not a prototype, a real battery. Already shipping, already powering homes. The cell costs about $19 per kilowatt hour. Lithium cells cost $35. That's not a typo. The raw material is seawater, and it exists in quantities 500 times greater than lithium on Earth. The company is CATL. By the end of this video, you'll understand why lithium's century just ended, and why the West never saw it coming. For 2 decades, lithium ruled everything. Electric cars, grid storage, phones, laptops. The metal went from $7,000 per ton in 2000 to $80,000 at its peak. The West called it white gold. Entire economies pivoted. Chile, Australia, Argentina, the Lithium Triangle. Billions poured into mines, refineries, processing plants. Tesla signed 20-year contracts. Mercedes locked supply. Every automaker on Earth scrambled for tons. And then it collapsed. Lithium hit $9,000 per ton in 2024, an 89% crash. Mines shut down, investments froze, and China kept building factories for something else. A battery that needed 0 lithium, 0 cobalt, 0 nickel, just salt. The question nobody asked was why China walked away from lithium at its peak. While the West bought mines, China built sodium-ion pilot lines. Quietly. No press releases, no fanfare. The technology existed for decades. Sodium sits right next to lithium on the periodic table. Similar chemistry, similar structure. But 500 times more abundant, the metal comes from seawater, from salt flats, from underground brine that exists on every continent. No rare deposits, no geopolitical choke points, and China cracked the problem everyone else said was impossible. Making sodium-ion dense enough, stable enough, cheap enough to replace lithium at scale. Here's what China built. CATL announced the Naxtra battery in August 2023. Sodium-ion cells, 175 watt-hours per kilogram. That matches lithium iron phosphate. The chemistry everyone said wasn't possible 5 years ago. The cell works from -40 to +70 Celsius. Lithium dies below -10. The charge time is 15 minutes to 80%. The cycle life is 6,000 charges, and the cost is $19 per kilowatt hour. Lithium iron phosphate costs $35. Ternary lithium costs $50. This is not a lab result. This is a shipping product, and the numbers are real. If you love stories the West ignores, hit like and subscribe. We cover the shifts most people miss until it's too late. The chemistry works like this. Sodium ions move between a cathode and anode. Same principle as lithium, but sodium is bigger, heavier. It should be slower, less efficient. The breakthrough was Prussian blue, a pigment artist used in the 1700s. China's battery labs turned it into a cathode material. It holds sodium ions in a crystal lattice. The structure stays stable through thousands of cycles. No dendrites, no thermal runaway, no cobalt, no nickel. Just iron, carbon, nitrogen, and sodium, elements that cost almost nothing and exist everywhere. The West missed it because sodium looked like a dead end. Lower density, heavier cells. Why build it when lithium worked fine? The answer is scale. China didn't need the best battery. It needed the battery that could scale to terawatt hours without depending on anyone. Lithium requires rare earth mining. Sodium requires salt. Lithium concentrates in a few countries. Sodium exists everywhere. Lithium prices swing wildly. Sodium prices are flat. China saw the same thing it saw with solar panels, with wind turbines, with rare earth magnets. The West optimizes performance. China optimizes control, and control wins over decades. The proof is in Fujian province. CATL built a 30 gigawatt-hour sodium-ion factory. That's enough cells for 400,000 electric cars per year, or enough grid storage for 2 million homes. The plant went online in 2024. BYD followed with a 50 gigawatt-hour line in Suzhou. Heine Battery opened a 10 gigawatt-hour plant in Qingdao. China now holds over 90% of global sodium-ion production capacity. The United States has 1 pilot line. Europe has 2. The gap isn't closing, it's widening. And the West is still building lithium refineries that might be obsolete before they finish. The first grid-scale deployment is already running. Datong Hubei Energy Storage Station, Central China. The facility covers an area the size of 15 soccer fields. It holds 50 megawatt-hours of sodium-ion batteries. That's enough to power 12,000 homes for 4 hours during peak demand. The station went live in May 2024. No lithium, no cobalt, just sodium cells stacked in shipping container-sized modules. The system charges from wind and solar during the day, discharges at night, and it works in winter when temperatures hit -20°C, conditions that would cripple lithium cells. This is not a test. This is infrastructure. The cost advantage is brutal. CATL's $19 per kilowatt-hour cell undercuts every lithium chemistry on the market. Lithium iron phosphate costs $35. Ternary lithium costs $50. NCM cells cost $60. The gap widens at scale. A 50 kilowatt-hour battery pack for a car costs $950 in sodium, $1,750 in lithium iron phosphate. The raw material cost is even more extreme. Lithium carbonate hit $9,000 per ton after the crash. Sodium chloride costs $120 per ton, a 75-to-1 ratio. And sodium chloride is so abundant the price hasn't moved in 50 years. No cartel, no supply shocks, just salt. The lithium industry is reeling. Albemarle cut production by 20%. Lithium shut 2 processing plants. Ganfeng Lithium reported a 94% profit drop. SQM in Chile laid off 1,500 workers. Pilbara Minerals in Australia suspended expansion. The mines that looked like gold mines 3 years ago are now bleeding cash. Every ton costs more to extract than it sells for. And China keeps building sodium capacity. The dynamic is identical to solar. The West invented lithium-ion batteries. China scaled them. Then China built the alternative. And the West has no answer. Because the answer requires 2 things. The West no longer does well: patient capital and vertical integration. The geopolitical shift is profound. Lithium concentrated power. 3 countries controlled 70% of reserves. Australia, Chile, China. The West could play that game. Sign contracts, buy mines, build alliances. Sodium dissolves that game. The metal is everywhere. In seawater, in underground brine, in salt lakes on every continent. No country holds leverage. No cartel can form. And the technology to extract it is simple. China built that advantage on purpose. It learned from rare earths, from solar, from lithium itself. The West controls the resource. China controls the refining. Then China builds the alternative. And the cycle repeats, every single time. The technology has limits. Sodium-ion cells are heavier. A 50 kilowatt-hour sodium pack weighs 330 kilograms. The same lithium pack weighs 280. That matters in performance cars, in aircraft, in anything where weight is critical. Energy density is lower, 175 watt-hours per kilogram versus 250 for ternary lithium. So lithium isn't dead. It still wins in premium vehicles, in long-range EVs, in applications where cost doesn't matter. But that's 5% of the market. The other 95% is grid storage, city cars, buses, trucks, applications where weight is irrelevant and cost is everything. And sodium owns that. The trajectory is set. CATL projects sodium-ion cells will hit 200 watt-hours per kilogram by 2027. That closes the gap with lithium iron phosphate entirely. BYD is integrating sodium into its Seagull platform, the $10,000 electric car. Jack Motors launched the Yiwei EV with a sodium battery in August 2024. It costs $11,000, gets 300 kilometers of range, and it's already on sale in China. The West has no equivalent, no production capacity, no supply chain. The Department of Energy funded 1 sodium-ion research grant in 2023, $2 million. China spent $2 billion on sodium factories that same year, a 1,000-to-1 ratio. The pattern repeats: solar panels, wind turbines, rare earth magnets, lithium refining, and now sodium-ion batteries. The West invents, China scales, then China builds the next generation, and the West realizes it missed the window. The window on sodium closed in 2023, when CATL's first factory went online. By the time Western governments noticed, China had locked 80 gigawatt-hours of annual capacity. The gap is now 5 years of construction time and $200 billion of capital investment. And that assumes the West starts today. It hasn't. The Inflation Reduction Act allocated $0 for sodium-ion. The European Battery Alliance has one pilot project. Australia shut its only sodium research lab in 2022. The West is still fighting the last war, the lithium war, and China is already selling the peace. What happens next is predictable. Sodium-ion batteries get cheaper. Energy density climbs. Manufacturing scales. The cells move from grid storage into vehicles, from premium EVs into mass market. The cost floor drops below $15 per kilowatt-hour. At that price, energy storage becomes disposable. Grid batteries that cost less than the electricity they store, and China holds the entire supply chain, from salt extraction to cell assembly. The West can buy the batteries, it cannot make them. The same position it found itself in with solar panels in 2015, with rare earths in 2018, with lithium refining in 2022. And the same outcome repeats. The technology that powers the next century gets built in China, sold to the world, and controlled by Beijing. The farmer's son who borrowed $3,000 to make refrigerator parts just built the battery that ends lithium's reign. CATL went from a garage startup to the largest battery maker on Earth in 15 years. And it did it by seeing what the West refused to see, that the best technology isn't always the highest performance. Sometimes it's the one you can make 500 million of. The next great battery war wasn't won in a laboratory in California. It was won on a salt flat in Qingdao. And the metal that powers the future costs $120 per ton. Subscribe and turn on notifications. The next story out of China makes this look like a warm-up. Would you buy an electric car with a sodium battery for half the price of lithium? Drop it below. I read every single one.